Good morning, everyone. As we get started this morning, it's still early. I think I've beat the workers this morning, so they're not out making noise. That doesn't mean it won't stay calm. They will be around eventually making noise. I brought my coffee with me this time because I figured that I better have a little extra help since it is early. It's quiet. You can see the lake and the beach that they've created along the lake behind me. This is the dawning of a new day, the day that the Creator of the universe created for us. And He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So anything He's done in the past, you can count on Him doing it again and again and again. So we're going to look at one example of what He did in the past to see how He deals with us today. We are still, waiting out the time. We still have work to do. If you're watching this video, God has a plan and a job for you. So ask Him what it is and when you want to start. I'm still trying to decide whether or not I can go to work. My son's been donating plasma to raise money. He's only here for a short while before he goes back to Peru, and he doesn't want to get involved in a job that he'd have to leave again. So keep in mind him when you're praying. And keep in mind that he's got a fundraiser so that he can continue to support the ministry there while he's here. He's back in the United States because it's legal. He's following the rules, and he will be going back shortly, probably September, because he wants to be able to stay there during some events that are coming up. All right. We're going to look at how God dealt with Israel, which is an example of how He'll deal with us, with Christians, because we're adopted. When He rescued the people from slavery in Egypt, and for those that are intent on asking for reparations, every human being on the face of the earth should be paid reparations. If you're going to pay it to one group, you need to pay it to others, because these people were white in slavery. Every ethnic group has had slaves. It was a tradition until we stopped it here in the United States. So the last basic group were the blacks that were brought over here from Africa and put to work. Not a good epitaph for mankind, but again, everybody did it, and everybody had slaves. So God will free everybody. Nobody deserves reparations because we've all been involved. Blacks owned slaves. Every ethnic group owned slaves. Every ethnic group were slaves. We've all been through this world together. So we need to unite instead of divide. But all the things that are happening are meant to divide. Satan wants to divide us. He can't take us on. He can't take on Christians in this world because we have the power of God behind us. And he can't take on God in any way. Okay, so we're going to go back to the book of Exodus. And if you look through it, you want to read a good story. This is fun. This is the time where Moses was born, put in a basket, picked up by the Pharaoh's daughter, raised, tried to take things into his own hands, where he killed an Egyptian soldier who was beating up a Jew. See, I told you before, don't take this to the physical level. It's not what we're supposed to do. What have I got? I got a squirrel someplace. Here he is. Okay. There was a bird getting too close to him, and they were facing off. Okay, so let's turn to Exodus chapter 19, starting in verse 1. And I'm just going to read you some of the story just so that you're up to speed. The purpose of this story, the purpose of this lesson, grace first. Lest we could claim. A lot of religions say that you cannot come to a relationship with God until you yourself are right. You've got to learn, you've got to get all your ducks in a row, and then you can attempt to go to God. That has never been our God. Now, there are many gods in the world. There's only one true God. Big G. Okay. 19:1. In the 3rd month after the children of Israel had gone out of the land of Egypt, on the same day they came to the wilderness of Sinai. We know where that's at. That's southern part of Israel. For they had departed from Rephidim and had come to the wilderness of Sinai and camped in the wilderness, so Israel camped there before the mountains. They had been rescued. They were told to go there and wait. And Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. God is in the business of rescuing people. Now, therefore, if you indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people. This is the foundation of where we are now. This is why they're called the chosen people. These are the people that came out of Egypt, the Israelites. For all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Now, as Christians, we're told we're going to be kings and priests eventually. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel. So Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before them all these words which the Lord commanded them. The use of the word command is just, it's a light word, but it's basically, these are the words of God, pay attention. We're going to see that in the next chapter. So Moses brought back the words of the people to the Lord, and the Lord said to Moses, Behold, I come to you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak to you and believe you forever. You know, if he just goes up on the mountain and comes back 30, 40 days later, they have no idea that he's telling them the truth. There's nothing to prove it. So God's going to give them some evidence. It doesn't work because people have very short memories, but he's going to do the right thing. So Moses told the words of the people to the Lord, and the Lord said to Moses, Go to the people, consecrate them for today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes. Let them be ready for the 3rd day, and on the 3rd day the Lord will come down from the mountain, from Mount Sinai, in the sight of all people. You shall set bounds for the people all around, saying, Take heed to yourself that you do not go up to the mountain or touch the base. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. God's protecting the people. He knows how powerful his presence is. And they're really not going to see him. They're going to see his presence in the clouds, know that he's there. They're going to hear him talk, but they're not going to get close. Not a hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with an arrow, whether man or beast, he shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come near the mountain. So Moses went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes and said to the people, "Be ready for the third day." Okay, so this is Moses getting them ready. I'm going to jump over to 21. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go down and warn the people lest they break through to gaze at the Lord, and many of them perish. Also let the priests come near the Lord and consecrate themselves, lest the Lord break out against them." The priests have to have a better life. Let's put it that way. Moses said to the Lord, "The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for you warned us, saying, 'Set bounds around the mountain.'" And the Lord said, "Away, get down and then come up, and you and Aaron with you. But do not let the priests and the people break through and come to the Lord, lest he break out against them." So Moses went down to the people and spoke to them. Okay, so the scene is set. Everything's ready to go. They get to the third day. And God spoke all these words, saying, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other." Okay, here's your, and we call them the Ten Commandments because we just associate that with something coming from the Word of God, from the mouth of God. But the actual statement here is, these are the 10 words, not commandments. That was associated later on in interpretation. Obviously, if he's given something from God, it is a strong implication, but it is, the literal translation is the 10 words. "You shall have no other gods before me." There were many gods in the world back then. There are today too. "You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them. For I am the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, to the third and fourth generations of those that hate me, but show mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my words, my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain." You can stretch that to an unbearable degree, but people use the Lord's name in vain all the time now. It seems to be common language. "Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, nor you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servants, nor your cattle," no oxen to pull anything, "nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth and the sea, and all of them, and rested on the seventh. Therefore the Lord blessed the seventh day, and it is hallowed." Next commandment: "Honor your father and mother, and your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God has given you. You shall not murder." That is the proper interpretation of the scripture. A lot of times we see the 10 Commandments up on walls and that, and it says, "Thou shalt not kill." No, we can kill. It's never good, but we can kill, especially in self-defense, things like that, war. It just says you should not murder. You can't kill somebody for no reason or for personal gratification. No. "You shall not commit adultery." We know what these mean. And this is the basic foundation that God is giving them. You shall not steal. You don't need to steal anything. God will provide. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Well, essentially that's covered under lying, but it's being very specific. Who is your neighbor? We get back, we see that all throughout time. Am I my brother's keeper? You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. What God does with your neighbor is God's business, not yours. If God wants you to have what he has or she has, he'll give it to you. Don't covet, don't desire it, don't think about it, and don't go out and work 2 jobs or whatever it takes to get enough money to have what they have. That's Satan's attempt to get us so busy we can't be servants of God. Now the people are afraid of God's presence. Now all the people witnessed the thunderings and the lightning flashes and the sound of the trumpets and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they trembled and stood afar off. Then they said to Moses, "You speak with us, and we will hear you, but let not God speak to us, lest we die." So they feared God, as they should, but it wasn't enough, because Moses will get mad at their attempting to have a golden calf, an idol. They just heard these things. Now, did God speak in an audible voice? It sounds like he didn't. Thunderings and lightning flashes and that. But Moses was there to interpret. And of course, we have the tablets that God, the original 10 Commandments, God hand wrote himself. But those are the tablets that when Moses came down and saw the golden calf, he got mad and threw them down and they broke. And for generations, they carried those fragments in the ark once they built the ark. There was manna in the ark, the broken 10 Commandments. Now, Moses was told by God later on, okay, you write it. You broke them. You write the commandments again so that they have them. And Moses said to the people, "Do not fear, for God has come to test you, and that his fear may be before you, that you may not sin." So the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near the thick darkness where God was. Okay. That's the story of God using his grace first to save them. They're out here to prepare the sand. They go through and they pull their screed over the sand to get rid of all the footprints. So when the new crowd shows up, there'll be a nice clean beach. God prepares our way too. But the bottom line of all this now is that God left his instructions and then said, okay, follow these instructions and you will be my people that I am proud of. Now, we know the history of the Jewish people. One generation may get it, the next generation falls away, the next generation falls further away, the next falls further away. God punishes them, brings them back to the country again, or back to where they were. They're repentant, and that generation is fine, and then it's a repeat. We have such short memories. That is why we have to constantly force ourselves to stay in the Word. Don't let things distract you. Stay in the Word. It will keep you safe. It's the only way you can guarantee to be with God so that God can then work with you. Now, he can do things when you're away, but he's not going to bless sin, so you've got to stay as close to him as possible. All right, I'm going to wrap up. Be safe. God saved us first when we were still sinners. We have our squirrels over here, and the sun is just starting to come up through the trees. You can see it there. They have a little miniature golf course here at this park. It's seen better days, but there's people out here every day. And since my campsite is right there, I get to see them up here having fun every day on this little course. There's horseshoe pits over there on the other side of the hill there. You can see the top of the volleyball net. There's sand all around it, so you can dive for the ball like we used to do out in California. I'm originally from there, or from the West Coast. And at work, we'd take off at noon and go play beach volleyball. Good times. This is the last day here. We are going to be moving tomorrow. So far, the way things are going, I think I can keep doing videos even on moving days by getting up early. I used to get up and try to do everything I could and pack out early, but there's no need to. So this little camping area, you can see the people down there, other tents, trailers. There's a big bathhouse up that way, just past the flag, and they have laundry machines, so I'm going to do laundry here this morning. Have a blessed day, everybody.